10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, Woh. Whoa.
not gonna hit my desk again. Yeah! Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa.
At the top it says, act like this is meta. Act like this is a real paper document and not a digital one. You're exploring an abandoned research facility and you find this document on the ground. P73101 Yizota. Overview. Yizota P73101 are a class of insecta headlouse with mind control properties. Similar to how hairworms can control crickets, Yizotas can control the host much more complexly and can be fatally dangerous. Yizotas only die from age and fire. They can live in extreme heat or cold. Appearance. Yizotas look almost identical to head lice but have black and gold stripes on the abdomen and are about 2 to 3 millimeters in size. Function. When attached to the host, Yizota can control its host to be essentially a vehicle of sorts, able to control how it moves and talks, harm others that are infected or not, etc. Some, however, are peaceful and just want to live out its life cycle. After a host is cleared of Yizotas, the host appears to have no side effects, aside from memory loss of when they got infected until when they got cleared of them as soon as possible. Long-term infection of violent Yizota makes the host almost otherworldly-like. Redacted. History and recovery. In 2005, the first case of pediculosis of Yizotas was found on a host that lived in Redacted after a long violence streak. From the document, it said the host would attack anyone who was on his property. The host managed to willingly go to the doctor for a checkup, and there Yizotas was discovered. In 2007, a man who lived in Redacted had a bad case of... I already forgot how I pronounced it. Pediculosis of Yizotas, and shot up a school in Redacted, killing 32. In 2010, a woman with a case of pediculosis of Yizotas attacked and murdered her family, then killed herself. When she was autopsied, they found the lice on her scalp and immediately cremated her so they wouldn't get away. After that, Yizotas remained low profile. Containment and testing. Test log 1, June 23rd, 21, 2:15 p.m. Today, the research department brought in a subject with a case of Yizotas. Seems to have had them for a long while. The subject was very aggressive as soon as he was brought in. He would scream, rant, and breathe wheezily. He slammed furniture around and just would make otherworldly sounds. We gave him sedatives and put him in a holding cell for overnight observation for a few days. June 24th, 21, 10 p.m. Subject sleeps in an odd position. He's sleeping in a ball on the bed and seems to be twitching and picking himself in his sleep like he's trying to pull his own skin off. June 25, 21, 3:30 p.m. Subject is beating on the walls, refusing food now and doesn't talk at all. Just speaks incoherent gibberish and growls. Subject is covered in scabs but doesn't seem to be in pain from his sleep picking. The scabs healed over and look black. June 26, 21, 11:30 p.m. Subject managed to kill a worker with his bare hands and escape the cell. The subject was shot on sight by another worker but managed to get away through a vent. The building is on lockdown now. June 27, 21, 3 a.m. Subject was found and looked much different than when it escaped. It looked mangled, almost bones, and nothing but... And then it stops there. It says nothing but dried blood splatters remain on the page. The rest is unlegible from the stains. You also hear a faint growl nearby.
Alrighty. PO 134501. Miss Jane's Emporium of Novelty Trinkets. Overview. Miss Jane's Emporium of Novelty Trinkets, hereby referred to as PO 134501, is an old gypsy caravan containing numerous anomalous objects. Appearance. PO 134501 is a gypsy caravan. The outer walls are painted red and have patterned designs over them. Above the door is a sign that reads Miss Jane's Emporium of Novelty Trinkets. The caravan itself is visibly old, by possibly centuries. The paint is extremely faded, the wood is moldy, and one of the wheels is missing. Function. On the outside, nothing is out of the ordinary and just seems to be a regular tourist trap caravan. However, the inside is much larger than it appears on the outside. The inside of P134501 is a store that contains numerous anomalous objects that are for sale. These objects are referred to as trinkets from various signs in PO134501. Trinkets throughout the inside of PO134501 are anomalous objects on display labeled as either trinket or novelty. Many are accompanied by signs with price tags, the name, and a line to grab interest. The following is information on every trinket found in PO134501. Testing and logs for each object are found in the containment and testing section. There are several other items found in the store that were actually novelty items, so they aren't documented here. The Dark Snow Globe. PO134502, which is named the Dark Snow Globe by Miss Jane, is a snow globe with an industrial base that contains an entire universe. The Magic 8 Ball of Death. PO134503, which is named the Magic 8 Ball of Death by Miss Jane, is a magic 8 ball that tells you exactly how you'll die. Despite the answers being an icosahedron die, the answers seem to have no limit. The Kaleidoscope of Dreams. PO134504, which is named Kaleidoscope of Dreams by Miss Jane, is a meter-long kaleidoscope that can show you dreams you've recently had. Infinity-sided die. PO134505, which is named Infinity-sided die by Miss Jane, is a spherical die that can randomly change something within the multiverse. It is locked inside a glass case on a pedestal. The glass case has a sticker on top left corner that reads, "Do not touch." Santa's Sack. PO134506, which is named Santa's Sack by Miss Jane, is a red velvet bag that always contains your most desired object. The Button. PO134507, which is unnamed by Miss Jane, is a big red button on an unshelled pedestal covered in construction tape. The button is unlabeled, so its purpose or function is unknown. After tests, however, it has been concluded that PO134507, The Disguise of a Million Faces. PO134508, which is named The Disguise of a Million Faces by Miss Jane, is a pair of Groucho glasses that permanently reconfigure your face when you put them on. History and Discovery. Recovery. PO134501 was found on the side of a road by researcher redacted. on his way to a vacation. Curious, he parked and checked it out. When he discovered the interior was bigger than the outside and filled with mysterious objects. He called it the Shroominati to have it looked at it. Once the Shroominati had arrived, PO 134501 was safely moved for further testing.
History. There is limited to no information related to or explaining PO 134501. PO 134501 looks to be centuries old and is speculated to be a tourist trap, possibly from a traveling carnival. There are no records in our database of a woman with the last name Jane having any relation to carnivals, tourist traps, or novelty stores. It is possibly a fake name to hide their identity, to seem like a mysterious anomaly themselves. PO 13502 is locked in a small vault at Redacted. PO 134501, PO 134503, PO 134504, Jesus Christ, PO 134506, and PO 134508 are all placed within the same chamber in a room requiring clearance at Redacted. PO 134505 is locked in a similar vault to PO 134502, but with more security at Redacted. Finally, PO 134507 is located in testing facility in Universe Redacted. In this test, the glass of PO 134502 is tapped on. Sorry, there's crud on my monitor. The result is its entire universe shaking violently, possibly killing nearly every living creature in it. No further tests were made afterwards. In this test, subject Redacted uses it like a normal 8-ball. The result was PO 134503, telling the subject that he will die being the test subject of a completely different anomaly. In this test, subject Redacted, once again, uses it like a normal 8-ball. The result was PO 134503, telling subject he will die from alcohol poisoning. In this test, subject Redacted once again uses it like an 8-ball, a normal 8-ball. The result was PO 134503, telling the subject he will be murdered by his son. In this test, do I have to read the test logs? 'Cause I get the feeling that I had to read them and I just didn't think about it.
Yeah, say test log and then.
Oh my! All right, I'm an idiot. Test log 0304. In this test, subject Redacted once again uses like a normal 8-ball. The result was PO 134503, telling subject he will never die. The answer given by PO 134503 specifically reads, "You will never die, a fate worse than death." It is unknown how this is possible, and the subject will be used for further testing. Test log 0305. In this test, subject Redacted once again uses it like a normal 8-ball. Result was PO 134503, telling subject he will die from a heart attack. Test log 0401. In this test, the test subject looks through the lens of PO 134504. Subject relays what he sees. Below is the log recording. Transmission start. Subject Redacted, I see me at school. The school is big, massive complex, much bigger than any school I've seen. Subject Redacted, I'm in class and oh no, I don't have any pants on. Oh my god, how embarrassing. God, I hate these kinds of dreams. How awful. Subject Redacted, okay, I'm running away now. All the students are laughing at me. I'm running through the hallway. Subject Redacted, I turn on a small hallway and there's a ladder. I'm climbing the ladder now. Subject Redacted, the ladder led to some alien-like hallway. There's steam coming out the pipes, weird blue markings on the wall, and a weird whirring noise. Or sound. Subject Redacted, oh no, I remember this dream. Can I stop? Redacted, no, keep going. Subject Redacted, oh, okay, I'm walking down the hallway. Subject Redacted, I hear a loud bang. The echoes through the hallway. I keep walking nonetheless. Subject redacted. Are you sure I can't stop? I don't want to have nightmares of my own nightmare. Redacted, redacted, redacted. You can stop now. Transmission end. Test log 0402. In this test, the test subject looks through the lens of P0134504. The subject relays what he sees. Below is a logged recording. Transmission start. Subject redacted. All right, redacted. Relay what you see. Subject redacted. Oh, let's see. Let's just say, wow. Let's just say I'm in paradise. Can I use this later? Redacted. God damn it, man. Transmission end. Test log 0403. In this test, the test subject looks through the lens of P0134504. The subject relays what he sees. Below is the logged recording. The subject was sent to therapy afterwards. Transmission start. Subject redacted. I'm in my house watching TV on the couch. Subject redacted. Nothing out of the ordinary seems to be happening. Subject redacted. Ag. Okay, I just heard a massive explosion. I'm running outside. Subject redacted. See a mushroom cloud from a nuclear bomb. I remain standing there looking at it. Now a wave of flame and ashes engulfed me. Subject redacted. Now there's nothing. Redacted. So is that it? Subject redacted. There's literally nothing. Not darkness or black. It's just nothing. Subject redacted. Is this really it? What it's like to be dead? It's awful. I know it'd be nothing, but it's literally nothing. Redacted. Alright, that's enough. Subject redacted. Is this all my life is amounting to? Literally not. Transmission end. Test log 0501. In this test, the subject rolls P0134505 on the floor. It takes 50 seconds for it to stop rolling. Once it does, subject has painful migraine that communicates to him exactly what he rolled. He relays what the roll created an anomaly that drifts around the universe, attaching itself to planets like glue, but it always drifts in one direction at the same speed. Anomaly is documented on separate document as redacted. Test log 0601. In this test, the subject grabs something from P0134506. Oh my god, this is a tongue twister. The item is wrapped in wrapping paper and topped with a bow. Subject rips off the wrapping paper to find a package for a bong. He says it's everything he ever wanted. Test log 0602. In this test, subject grabbed something from P0134506. Item is again wrapped in wrapping paper and topped with a bow. This box is much larger this time. Within it is a portal gun from the fictional game series Portal. The subject plays around with it, teleporting from floor to wall to ceiling to another wall and so on. He builds up too much momentum, he splatters against the wall, killing him. Test log 0603. In this test, the subject grabs something from P0134506. The item is again wrapped in wrapping paper and topped with a bow. This time the box is very small. It contains a framed photograph of the subject's family. The subject began crying at the sight of the photo. Test log 0604. In this test, the subject grabs something from P0134506. The item is again wrapped in wrapping paper and topped with a bow. Box is extremely massive this time. P0134506 seems to have grown in size to accommodate for large size of this box. Inside of this box is a brand new car. Test log 0701. P0134507's function is completely unknown. Many think it does nothing, while others think it's kill switch universe. Therefore, in this test, P0134507 was brought to a separate, unimportant universe for testing. When the subject pressed the button on P0134507, redacted. Test log 0801. In this test, the subject puts P0134508 on his face. He begins screaming in agony as P0134508 rearranges his face. After about a minute, the subject's face stops moving and he gradually stops crying. The result is a completely different face from the subject's original. The face remained unchanged in race and sex. Addendums. There were 50 tests conducted on P0134503, but only 5 were logged. All except test log 0304 produced similar results. There were 10 tests conducted on PO134506, but only 4 were logged. And alright, that's it.
PE-233-01, the Mothmen. PE-233-01, known in many cultures that have encountered it as the Mothmen, is a population of sentient entities that are found in and around populated areas throughout the multiverse. All known specimens of PE-233-01 appear as a roughly 7-foot-tall humanoid with large wings instead of arms, with an approximately 14-foot span, and large talons resembling those of an owl instead of feet. Its body is an extremely dark black in color, with no discernible features except large red eyes, which never close and glow brightly. The rest of the entity's body is composed of material similar to densely packed hair with no internal organs. How it is capable of any basic functions or locomotion is currently unknown. On the surface of its body, its hair-like substance twists together into feather-like shapes and hangs loosely off its creature's body. Mothmen's origins is currently unknown, however there appears to be a fixed number scattered throughout the multiverse, as reported sightings and incidents attributed to them have gradually decreased as more have been contained. It is not believed that they reproduce in any capacity, as their numbers do not appear to increase over time. They also appear to have no nutritional needs or environmental needs, capable of surviving in extremely high and low temperatures, complete vacuums, and without any food or water for indefinite periods. Mothmen's instances are attracted to large reservoirs of potential energy and will attempt to release that energy into the surrounding area. Examples of this behavior include igniting caches of explosives or fuel, causing bridges to collapse, starting forest fires, initiating nuclear meltdowns, and bursting dams. The presence of potential energy causes these creatures extreme discomfort, and they will do everything in their power to be rid of that discomfort of particular distaste to them in stars, which being massive reservoirs of potential energy causes... I accidentally read that twice. A particular distaste to them is stars, which being massive reservoirs of potential energy cause them extreme distress upon exposure to daylight, and thus they are typically active at night. Mothmen's instances are sentient and capable of speech, though they will typically refuse to speak unless placed under extreme duress, and so very few attempts at interviews with the creatures have yielded results. They generally avoid confrontation if possible, but when pursued may respond with extreme violence, usually by crushing with talons, which are capable of crushing steel, or by simply picking its pursuers up and flying high above the ground to drop them to their deaths. It is also worth noting that while in flight, Mothmen's instances may also make almost no sound, being impossible to hear without extremely powerful surveillance equipments, and can hide the glow of their eyes, making them very difficult to detect at night. Though they do emit a very small amount of heat due to friction generated by their movements, and thus can be seen with thermal vision. The most unusual aspect of Mothmen is that if one is killed, or if any part of it is severed from its main body, it vanishes completely, leaving nothing behind except a faint black stain on anything it was touching when it died, which testing reveals to be a conglomerate of soot, ash, and the various substances found within redacted. Their numbers do not seem to decrease even when killed en masse, and thus it is believed that when one dies, it either reappears or a new one takes its place in a seemingly random place within the universe. Though they most frequently reappear near populated areas, the mechanism by which this happens and whether these creatures have any control over where they appear are both unknown. Any tests into the nature of this disappearing and reappearing must be approved by any authorized Shroominati researcher, and must be conducted in a depopulated universe to minimize potential damage when it reappears. History and discovery. Recovery. Due to Mothmen's nature of being alive without seemingly any bodily functions and their ability to uncoil themselves into loose mass, they are exceedingly difficult to restrain without killing, though using liquid adhesive seems to be effective. The first Mothmen incidents captured by the Shroominati designated Mothmen-2, or PE-233-02, was the first success in a series of failed attempts at capturing the live specimen. Mothmen-2, and all instances following it, are housed in Sector Universe, to be kept in specialized containment chambers, which are continuously flooded and with a slow-drying liquid adhesive to hinder any escape attempts. These chambers must be cleaned on a weekly basis to prevent the adhesive from building up and causing the flow to be disrupted. History. Mothmen is responsible for a wide array of disasters, the number of which being impossible to estimate but assumed to be extremely large and having caused immeasurable damage throughout history. It is often difficult to determine whether a disaster result of a Mothman instance or of ordinary circumstances. However, it is worth noting that when a Mothman instance is known to be in an area, the rate of disasters in that area is an average of 43% higher than similar areas. Containment and testing. While Mothman instances are known to be capable of speech, they almost always avoid it unless they are forced to, with only one interrogation attempt over succeeding. That being of PE-233-14 by researcher, which was made to comply after being exposed to sunlight and questioned for 17 hours. Selected fragments of the interrogation are listed below. By this point, researcher appears to be completely exhausted and frustrated, and is making liberal use of profanity. Where do you come from? The end from which it all began, and the beginning of the end. What the does that mean? Remains PE-233-14 remains silent for several seconds. Don't make me ask you again, what does that mean? You could not understand. That which is not can understand that which is, but that which is could never understand that which is not. Alright, then here's a new question. What do you want? We do not want, we simply act. Alright, then what do you act towards? Equilibrium. Of what? Everything and nothing. Unity between is and isn't. Of course, I finally cracked the... and it's a poet. This! I need a drink. Leaves the room for several minutes. At 1700 hours, the researcher returns. Alright, new question. Why do you hate pent-up energy so much? It is our nature. Beavers stop the flow of water. Trees block the light of the sun from the ground. And we correct imbalances. I fail to see how breaking is correcting anything. We bring the world back to what it always meant to be. We make it uniform and even. The universe itself wants to be this way, and we are eager to help it along. What? The universe does not tend towards chaos. It tends towards equilibrium and a greater order, and all of its existence there is not. Christ, I'm done. End this interview. We'll try it again later. All subsequent attempts at interrogation have failed.
PE-2004-01 Cerritulus Imperatoris. Description Overview. Cerritulus, hereby referred to as PE-2004-01, is a young man who was born during the year of Lord redacted, hence the 2004 number of his ID. He is similar to the cousin of our race, Chimson Gibbons. He is currently under custody of their birth parents, but is under constant surveillance. Appearance. They look like a more primal version of man. Ugly bastard in shorts. He is clearly a descendant of his parents, but looks more, well, not as great as them. Function. He is a normalish human being, that is, subpar compared to normal people. He shows signs of being a retard, as he likes to play HOI4 and CK2. He is in a group called Redacted. They have the ability to do anything at all, but we have mentally suppressed him using the education system of America and his family members. So he's crippled mentally unless he's really completely focused. But we have gathered some agents to distract him from his dream. History and discovery. Recovery. We recovered him during his birth after the doctors saw the data and DNA from the patient. He's been under constant surveillance 24/7 constantly. We can't let him become more a problem when he realizes the truth. History. We have been watching him for most of his life. It's like the Truman Show without actors. We help him occlusively, like when he needs toilet paper, but nothing else. We typically distract him with these following games: RimWorld, Warband, Kenchi's Universe, HOI4. We have seen irregularities during sleep. His father also has this effect. Containment and testing. He is kept under constant surveillance 24/7, even if death is a likely possibility. We cannot let him evolve into a Redacted. Test logs. Test 1. We have tested various games and methods to keep his retardation levels to stable levels. The best are which are strategy games. Test 2. He has entered the age where hormones take over, and we have monitored him watching various topics, to vanilla to Redacted. He is truly a wild animal. Test 3. You have seen weird things during his life so far. Like when he was a child, he pissed on couches and furniture. Now he's just a weird character. We are currently testing certain effects in his learning to keep him stunted. Interview log 1. We have spoken to him multiple times during his life under disguises, but he has a hard time communicating properly, and is currently able to speak but not learn other languages effectively. He has mentioned that dreams have a weird effect, that he says it's like a future sight, but with photos, most likely irregularities that we have noticed this once in a while. Addendums. We have seen a lot of his life so far, but it's a lot of information to put that many years into addendums. But the gist of it is that he is an irregularity to humanity. Sometimes he can be the smartest person in the room, or the dumbest wild animal there is. We can't let him evolve into the next stage of, or Redacted. If that happens, then most of Earth we know will not be the same as it is. We might at that point have an entropy threat. We can't also kill him because it would immediately be activated if he finds out the truth of the world. The world must be hidden at all times. I am really bad at grammar and was rushed, please don't judge. I'm also bad at reading.
EE-2409-01. The narrator, hereby referred to as, is a divine being capable of controlling and influencing the actions of anyone present in the same universe as itself. Its motivation is to tell its own universal fulfilling story. The narrator holds control over its universe of origin, universe 400.1203, hereby referred to as EE2409-02, every sentient being in the universe of origin is subject to mental manipulation and controlled by the narrator. Appearance. The narrator is, according to mental research on the crew, it encountered a glowing humanoid figure roughly 8 feet tall with no distinctive features, notably a lack of sensory organs or respiratory ducts. Function. The narrator is able to perceive the actions of all in its own universe and at its whim can influence or force someone to do or say something. This makes it effectively impervious to any form of assault within its universe. It is hypothesized, but not confirmed, that this ability could extend to any universe it inhabits. It doesn't often force its hands, but if the story isn't going right, I'll make sure to. Fuck. And narrator, what a mouthful. Just call me EE or something. I'm not really gonna bother hiding anymore. It doesn't suit me. History and discovery. Recovery. Much better. It was really strange that I was minding my own business, doing a bit of meditating, keeping an entire universe's worth of life in check is no small task, you know, when suddenly I feel a massive disturbance. I'm no stranger to people intruding on my story. It's happened before, and they become a part of my story. Pieces in my grand, infinite game of chess, but this was different. I felt like fucking red-hot railroad spikes in my skin. Whatever this was, I was not going to let it interfere with my life's work. And guess who it could have been to strike at the concept of me so profoundly? It was you, the Shroominati, self-proclaimed protectors of the multiverse, savior of all. So righteous you must think you are, trying to protect life from the danger you think I am. I know who you are, and I know what you do. It helps save having an entire universe's worth of knowledge at my disposal, with some help from those who have encountered you before. I consider myself pretty merciful, all things considered, so I drove you out. Made sure every single man and woman on my ship had my warning engraved to their head to leave this place alone. History. Describe the past of the anomaly. You go ahead, I'll correct you. EE2409-01, there you go again. What a name. Has existed for roughly redacted years in the universe. Oh, blanking stuff out, huh? Alright, I appreciate the respect for my privacy. Possibly being the first intelligent life to arise from it. Little is known how it obtained its power. That's the point. But assume it always had. Okay, that's enough. This is fucking excruciating to read. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. Don't try to pretend to. When the only conscious mind in the entire universe is you, for who knows for how many hundreds of millions of years, you'd understand if I said it got boring. As soon as another mind was born, I felt it. I connected with it, and I could exert myself through it. I have to admit, it was an intoxicating feeling. Another consciousness entered, then another, then another, then another. Over time, I grew millions, billions, trillions of people under my influence. Sometimes a few would slip through the cracks, but never escape my eye for long. And now, you think you're doing some great service by trying to remove me from the equation? And for what? To let them prosper on their own? You assholes have no idea what you're doing here. No idea what you're interfering with. All those lives, they're nothing without me guiding them towards their greatest purpose. To tell the greatest story ever told. If you take me out, they won't know anything. And they have evolved under my influence. All my nudges here and there, abusing the butterfly effect, leading up to the great universal climax. You'd be doing both them and me a favor by fucking off and minding your own business. Test logs. Test log EE-2409-01-A. At the time of the initial contact with the narrator, the crew aboard the vessel were immediately placed under the influence. The crew reports they had all heard this same voice in their head repeatedly telling them to get out. The crew immediately proceeded to non-voluntarily leave the universe. Another vessel was sent to investigate the home universe of the narrator, with protection with shields to offer protection from cognitive influence. Contact was lost with the vessel moments after injury. The crew is presumed lost or dead. Interview logs. Due to its nature, interviews cannot be performed directly with the narrator without risking the safety of any researchers involved. Researcher redacted and captain redacted. So, tell me what happened when you entered the narrator's universe. It was frightening. It was frightening. As soon as we got in, we all fell to the ground and realized I couldn't move. I got up a few seconds later, but it wasn't me that was getting up. Someone else was getting up for me. It was like I was watching a movie. Were you trying to move? What was happening inside your head? I was trying to talk, move my arm, anything, but it felt like my entire being was in a vice grip. My life flashed before my eyes in a matter of seconds. An entire collage of everything I'd ever seen or heard, said, seen, or done. And then everyone just started to say, leave, over and over and over again. I heard it in my ears and in my head too, like every fiber of my being. It was deafening. I really wanted nothing more than that moment to leave. Our pilots moved to bring us back outside of the universe. As soon as we were gone, we all collapsed again. It was terrifying. Researcher redacted and researcher redacted. Interview was conducted prior to the publication of this article. We saw this article and we're not doing this as satisfactory. What the fuck is this writing? Are you pretending to be that thing? God, you're so conceited. I said it in the document. I made sure to leave a piece of myself, the consciousness of one of your own. Yes, but you must explain yourself. Are you in the anomaly? What's your goal? I suppose I am, in a way. I'm an echo of the consciousness of my real self that's in the other universe. Turns out it was a shitty idea, and now I'm stranded here with a lot of you dumbasses. Yeah, I guess I do have an agenda, and as long as you stop sticking where your nose is where it doesn't belong, the snake won't bite. Believe me when I say the snake will bite. And what exactly are you going to do if we are relentless? You're holding an entire innocent universe hostage. Why should we ignore that? Yeah, just let me tell you my whole evil plan. Fuck off. Researcher blank then refused to respond to any further questioning and is currently being held in isolation. No major effects or powers have been demonstrated from the researcher. But those in close proximity of him have reported an overpowering feeling of drowsiness and anxiety. Addendum 1. I'm not in your universe, so unfortunately I have no idea what's going on over there. I made sure to leave a piece of myself in the consciousness of one of your own, so when the article gets created, it will serve as a message to those who listen. Sir, maybe you've saved lives, maybe even saved mine at one point or another. Suppose just thank you if that's true. I may sound evil to you, and I can live with that. Hell, maybe I am evil. I'm a necessary evil, though. Don't blame me for wanting to try. I don't blame you for wanting to try to take me out. But you have no idea the greater implications would be if I'm gone, so I'm going to say this once. Addendum 2. Stay out of my way, or I'm going to push back and you won't like it. Following interview 2, previous addendums and interference from the narrator will be preserved as to learn more about his motivations and whether or not to deem it a serious threat.
ReedReedRe Reed. 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 ReedReedRe Reeder. ReedReedRe Reed. ReedReedRe ReedReedRe ReedRe Reed. PL88801. Ourþeh. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm just pronouncing it how it looks. Ourþeh. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for you to tell me. No. Hereby referred to as PL88801 is a planet. Ourþeh. I'm doing Ourþeh. Ourþeh is several times the size of a nearby planet, Mars. It is covered in a multitude of bizarre biomes and structures that seem to rely on the belief of gods, as no physical technology beyond that of the 18th century has been found. Upon this world, there is also a diversity of creatures that parallel that of Earth. These include floor-dwelling flowers that produce beetle-like offspring to giant guard dogs that are tied to bastions. Ourþeh even seems to have an atmosphere and terrain that vastly changes depending on location. Even with this level of variation, some measurements remain consistently true. It has been determined that all current life on Ourþeh are descendants of life from Earth. It has also been proven that highly intelligent humanoid life had been present in the past. Whether this humanoid life evolved on Ourþeh or was a sibling species to Homo sapiens is unknown. Places, creatures, and their properties. Biomes. That's O2. PLA02.X. Calcium deserts. The calcium deserts are what seem like a plain of dunes containing calcium phosphate sand. The scientific team worked very hard to come up with this creative name. But upon further inspection, researcher V discovered that the dunes of the calcium deserts were actually the eroded remnants of giant teeth-like structures packed under the surface of the planet. The atmosphere in Ourþeh in the calcium deserts are relatively tame compared to others, with there being high levels of oxygen and slightly lower levels of nitrogen. However, the wind speed in this biome is very high, possibly explaining why everything seems to be eroded by the sand so fast. The calcium deserts are located far away from the seas and near the equator of Ourþeh. Oh, there's a picture. Wow, look at that. Artist H's depiction of calcium deserts 10,000 years ago. How the calcium desert's teeth formed is a complete mystery. The most popular theory is that it was made to be a farm of some sort. These teeth could have potentially been a source of nutrients for domesticated bacteria or plants. Sea sodas. The sea sodas are the general name for the acidic inner oceans. These habitats are generally less habitable than more coastal waters purely because of their acidity. This has earned PL88802 its nickname, the sea sodas, as sodas tend to be more acidic than water, even though this biome is more acidic than any popular soda. In fact, there have only been 3 instances of terrestrial life adapting to live in the sea sodas. Damn, more art. The most interesting of the 3 examples would be the dwarving musks. These smooth-skinned mammals are 4 feet in height and tend to live in tribes. Although they are quadrupedal, dwarving musks often use their highly developed extended lips to make crafts and go about their life. However, transition fossils between the current dwarving musks and their ancestors have never been found on land or sea. This and the fact that the dwarving musks have no similar species suggests that they might have been modified to survive in the sea sodas. Whether this implies that something on Ourþeh had the ability to perform advanced genetic modification is still up to debate. Sewers. PL88802.3. The sewers refer to the multiple toxic swamps in the more tropical regions of Ourþeh. The sewers contains creatures that have developed highly specialized circulatory systems to compensate for their hazardous carbon monoxide atmosphere. At times, an animal not native to the area can fall unconscious just by being exposed to the air for too long. This ultimately leads to their death. The swamp sewers are noted to have estimates of 80+ caves. These caves seem to have mysterious properties, having a tendency to, as Professor K notes, inhale and exhale as if it were alive. In fact, all accounts of the sewers note that the ground seemed to rise and fall in synchrony with the tides of the seas. Excavations within the sewers caves have revealed that a species of fungi thrive within, called avios. These fungi are meaty and have a membrane that protects them from any attempts to damage them. These creatures have a system of tubes that pump nutrients throughout their body, comparable to human veins and arteries. During one team meeting, it was brought up that these avios are fungi, and fungi have a tendency to grow an entire system of roots. So one of these bodies could be, in fact, part of a crowd of hundreds. This eventually led to the theory that avios actually created the breathing of the sewers through their own synchronized beating motion. The Haven, PL88802.4. The Haven is a 200,000 square mile field within the largest instance of the sewers. Despite this, it has been infamously hard to find. The Haven will often break apart, move, and join together within the sewers like tectonic plates. Within the Haven, there are only 16 species of life, half of them being citrus trees alone. While located within the toxic sewers, the Haven itself is the most habitable place within the entire planet. The most significant animals within the Haven include hooded foxes and sheetal bees. Both are depicted on structures across Ourþeh like the Olgum temples and the Titan's walls. Hooded foxes are a yellow, lean-bodied canine that are named after their hood-like ears. The ears on these foxes are as long as their skull, so they are usually slicked back against their body. Despite the Canidae family being mainly carnivores, hooded foxes never consume anything other than salt water. These curious creatures often stare into the sky whenever they sit under a citrus tree like a howling wolf. Sheetal bees are the primary way the citrus trees of the haven get pollinated. Sheetal bees strangely have no relation to the wasps or hornets within the other parts of Ourþeh, and are considered to be part of their own family altogether. Sheetal bees' hives tend to be more convoluted than regular beehives as they separate their space into distinct sections. Like a city-state, each hive is a square where bees gather, a fortified region where valuables and nobility are housed, and fields where laborers work to benefit the whole. Even trade and war between hives has been observed. Structures. The Moonlight Tower, PL 88803.1. Discovered by researcher V. Within... I forgot what the first one was. Within the Calcium Deserts is a ruined small village with a central lighthouse identified as PL 88803.1. However, being so far away from any body of water, it could only be concluded that the lighthouse was used to light up the land around itself, hence the reference to the Moonlight Towers of the 19th century. The central tower of PL of the Moonlight Tower is in surprisingly good shape for being within the infamously eroded Calcium Deserts. In fact, coats of paint can still be seen on the structure. This is very much unlike the ruined town that was originally only found because there are small traces of sown sediment within the otherwise calcium phosphate desert. A species of bird have evolved to take advantage of the lighthouse. These small fowls created a mess of nests along the tower which house upwards of 100 birds. The lighthouse acts like a castle that prevents predators from invading and creates a natural defense by sheer numbers. Various species of vines are also found on the tower's walls. Most interestingly, the light emitted from the tower of the Moonlight Tower isn't typical. Tests have shown that if you look at the light, you will see the land as it was 10,000 years ago. While there was still no busy civilization, people report that some teeth within the Calcium Deserts were almost exactly that of real humans. Pools of saliva were scattered within the area, and cavities could be seen in some of the damaged teeth. This phenomenon seems to have somehow even affected the aforementioned birds and vines. The birds have been seen to age backward and to only be born by emerging from the sands. Additionally, the vines of the tower have been shown to be the literal living fossils of their non-lighthouse variants. The DNA of the lighthouse vines match that of the wild vines' ancestors from, again, 10,000 years ago. The Titan's Walls, PL 88803.2. The Titan's Walls are a series of coastal bastions that were likely heavily utilized. On the coast-facing walls are star-like shapes along with lines between them that draw out constellations. 12 instances of the Titan's Walls have been found on Ourþeh. The locations are all along the same coast, suggesting that these were strongholds per a previous civilization. Unrepaired damage on the front faces of these bastions show that an enemy force had to have invaded the civilization and that the opposition had succeeded in their invasion. The only life within a 2-mile radius of each of these bastions are Titans. These 11-foot tall quadrupedal giants act like guards to the strongholds. It is hypothesized that these creatures were bred to guard the bastions. So while the people who made them had become extinct, they themselves found a way to survive. Their origins show as the Titans will become hostile if you show any weapons or signs of aggression, including baring your teeth. It should be noticed that this discovery came at the cost of several lives under Dr. D's third investigation. All 12 instances of the Titan's Walls have been observed to have their layouts change every week or so. When this happens, the Titans become dangerously hostile and kill anything they find to be within viewing distance of the bastion, sometimes including each other. However, the result is actually beneficial as a new generation of stronger Titans emerge. These shifts only happen at night, and for good reason. The previously mentioned stars will always match those of the night sky, with the constellations remaining true. It was even discovered that stars that weren't visible in the sky would still move accordingly but along the bottom side of the bastion. But due to how shockingly powerful the Titans are, the actual movement of the stars have never been observed. It should be noted that the constellations drawn on the walls are currently strangely similar to those created by early astronomers on Earth. It is odd, because after thousands of years, the stars must have moved from their original places when the civilization that built these had existed. The Ogham Temples, PL 88803.3. The Ogham Temples is the name of the 16-plus religious sites within the sewers. Walls on the Ogham Temples have writing that tells stories and drawings that depict various species of animals, plants, and even the avios within the sewers. Due to how much energy it takes to not die of the toxic air, the creatures of the sewers evolve rather slowly and thus are still largely recognizable to their ancestors that were carved into the Ogham Temple's stone walls. The majority of the temples are buried under hundreds of years of dirt now, but it was once composed of beautiful architecture rivaling that of Hindu temples. It has been proven that each temple is related to a different deity or god within the religion. Artist H's depiction of an instance of Ogham temples. Every lunar year, all the temples will begin to morph into statues of events or gods, and the creatures on the walls will dance, hunt, and grow. The fruits of the vines and trees around the temples will also begin to rapidly grow and ripen. World-renowned artist A suggested that the walls carvings told that every lunar year marks the day when the gods would be reincarnated into the fruit of plants. The Trees Pantheon, PL 88803.4. The Trees Pantheon is located within the Haven. It is tightly related to the Ogham temples, but the Pantheon is the temple of all deities. Within the Pantheon are hundreds of statues showing gods and historical rulers next to them. Statues of gods are labeled only with a symbol, while others are labeled with a name, one of the several symbols, and another. These statues make a large hexagon, and on each face of the hexagon there is a different deity. Beside the deities are the rulers. People with the same symbols are placed together on the same side of the hexagon, and the statue gets placed farther away from the central deity they're linked to as their number increases. Handwritten name of ruler. I'm not saying that. Beside each deity is a citrus tree that likely represents the fruit they're reincarnated into. However, by now these plants have grown far too big for the Pantheon, growing through windows and wrapping around the statues. But as the first explorer saw, that was the only sign of age within the Trees Pantheon. The walls are still clean, the statues are perfectly intact, and it had seemed like not even a single hooded fox had stepped foot into the building. It was soon discovered in a horrifying test that the statues of those deities were real beings. They did not age, did not eat, and had the same properties of any other real god. However, they were permanently bound to Ourþeh and did not have any way out despite their almost infinite power. Gods, PL 88804. Due to their names being impossible to pronounce and taboo to write, translations are in three-letter initialisms. LME. LME is the deity of fertility and luck. LME has the power to bring life to anything on Ourþeh. Inspired to create the perfect pollinator, LME made the Sheetlebees. Inspired by the other deities, LME made a creature, now extinct, that was as smart as humanity. LME can also grant luck to something. This generally allows the subject to live longer, a longer, more fulfilling life, and is theorized to be how so many structures stand to this day. However, LME does not have the power to determine the ultimate destiny of these creatures. Their lives and eventual deaths are still at the hand of the universe itself. Just because something is granted luck does not mean that it is immune to all misfortune. Little else is known about this being. LMN is the deity of relationships, loyalty, and justice. LMN is closely related to LME due to how similar they are, like siblings. LMN's actual abilities are unknown, as LMN refuses to demonstrate them. It is known, however, that LMN has a reason to not show his powers, and it's been hinted that their abilities contributed toward the extinction of the only intelligent life on Ourþeh. Perhaps LMN fears that the same fate will fall upon us if they show us.
This is DO-8378-01, the Timepiece. The Timepiece hereby referred to as DO-8378-01 is a pocket watch. It is a maker where the first originated from is unknown. DO-8378-01 is a silver pocket watch with a grandfather clock engraved with a small unmarked switch on the back. Opening it will reveal is stuck at 444. Upon pressing DO-8378-01's opening mechanism a second time, A random effect on space-time will occur on its proximity. Flipping on the switch will allow one to have a semi-permanent effect, only changing once it's flipped back to the opposition and the button is pressed once more. It is currently theorized that this traveled through time, possibly the past. This has caused it to be the interest of study, and its tests as follows. The DO-8378-01 was found in a man who appeared to be a Victorian era butler who suddenly appeared at redacted, looking confused. The anomaly belonged to Sir Farnsworth, who the butler served. It is told by him to have been cleaning by him one day when he suddenly found himself at redacted. Upon looking up, a chair was also with him, which has been destroyed. Test log 1 from containment and testing. The result of activation. The subject pressed the button and caused a small localized wormhole to appear. Recording equipment caused inside for a few moments. Inside the wormhole, which is what can be described as close as nothing is possible following the most laws of physics. Subject is declared dead. Test log 2. Result of activation. Subject disappears. When preparing another test hours later, the subject reappears. It is believed that this is a temporal event. Threat level has been elevated due to these factors. Testing it to continue to discern whether or not this is capable of traveling to the past. Test log 3. Result of activation. Subject is sucked into another localized wormhole. Tracker indicates the subject was transported a light year away onto an uninhabited planet. Audio and video show that there is no malfunction in the tracking. Test log 4. Result of activation. Upon activation, the site was overcome by a spatial and temporal anomaly. Threat level raised to divine in light of the possibility of travel in the past on a large scale. Site has not been recovered as of present date. Test log 5. Result of activation. Upon activation, subject disappears. He reappears in the office of redacted and is shot on sight due to the high profile of the individual that held the office. Data indicates a larger spatial and temporal disturbance near the office. No signs of such an event. Testing indefinitely suspended for the time being. This is the last transmission from site redacted. The object has never been recovered. A distress call was sent from site, but by the time rapid response arrived, the site was gone, along with everything within a mile of it. Temporal anomaly detection has been installed on all sites to detect site redacted in case it returns.
All right, we got PL270401, the Friendship Seeker. Friendship Seeker, hereby referred to as PL270401, is an uncontainable radar anomaly that coincides as a Fokker F-27 friendship turboprop airliner that occasionally appears on local traffic control and GPS systems near the Himalayan mountains in Asia. Transmitting the emergency frequency of general aviation at 121.5 MHz or 243 MHz in the general location of the Friendship Seeker causes it to initiate and ping its location. Each initiation lasts for approximately 6 minutes, and each location is different but within the same general area. History and Discovery. The Friendship Seeker was found in the year 2000 and blank while local traffic control was sweeping for emergency signals in the range of the Friendship Seeker, at which case was originally reported and a search party warranted. The first reported location of the Friendship Seeker was in 35.redacted, 74.redacted, and subsequent locations ranged within 10 kilometers of the initial location. Satellite data cached, access denied, higher status required, override. As of this report, all transmission to the area of the Friendship Seeker is forbidden by international air traffic control. Further examination and testing required. History. It has been probable that the Friendship Seeker highly resembles Pakistan IA Flight 404, which went missing along with all 54 passengers on August 25, 1989. Several search parties were launched and concluded without any trace of wreckage or survivors. All 54 occupants are presumed dead. The Friendship Seeker is calculated to match the flight patterns of Flight 404, located about Redacted away from his flight path, last recorded on 0740 as a routine radio call. Testing. Test log 01. Transmission of emergency signals. Concluded that 121.5 MHz and 243 MHz received a response from the Friendship Seeker. 6 MHz, a newer frequency for distress, did not. Test log 02. Transmission of common communication and navigation frequencies ranging from 200 kHz to 118 MHz has resulted in no response from the Friendship Seeker. Addendums. Addendum 1. Note, audio recording of the search party for Friendship Seeker. 4 volunteer researchers arrived on a helicopter roughly 1 kilometer away from the last reported instance of the Friendship Seeker due to uneven terrain. They were equipped with ample supply including food, water, GPS, clothing, fire starters, and an audio recorder. 140845. Vol 1. This is redacted. Me, redacted, redacted, and redacted are currently redacted meters away from the last reported location of Friendship Seeker, and redacted kilometers east from redacted. The current time is 14:09:09. First 16 minutes of audio log were stripped of irrelevance. Vol 3. Estimated time of arrival. Vol 1. We should be close. Look out for anything unusual. Vol 4. The last time I went hiking up these mountains was maybe 15 years ago, and I... Vol 1. Please stay on task. Vol 4. I apologize. Vol 2. Hey, redacted. I think I found something. Vol 1. The wreckage for Flight 404 has been located. The current time is 14:26:08. Redacted. Do you see anybody? Vol 2. No, it's all just trash and debris. A loud screeching sound is heard, followed by screaming. The loud screeching lasted for approximately 14 seconds, followed by 3 hours of silence until the batteries for the audio recorder died out. A subsequent flyby of the area showed an unoccupied helicopter with footsteps toward the marked location. The volunteers' supplies remained, with no sign of the volunteers or the aforementioned wreckage of Flight 404. Further examination of the Friendship Seeker is to be ceased.
EL72901, the Wasteland. God, I hate my pronunciation. Description. Overview. The Wasteland, hereby referred to EL72901, is an anomalous destination of the universe. 960.1118. A period, I don't know. EL729-01 is densely populated with various damaged or destroyed objects, structures, and masses from countless different universes. EL729-01's primary appearance is comparable to the aftermath of a interplanetary war, majorly composed of remains of various starships. Starships, planets, and megastructures. Few stars are present in EL729-01. It's massive rings of scrap and debris that can stretch out for billions of miles. EL72901 harbors no indigenous life, and there's very few inhabitants that are able to survive by scavenging food, materials, and resources from the decaying planets and ships. It is nearly impossible to survive long-term in EL729-01 due to the density of objects causing collisions of varying magnitudes multiple times per hour within a 100-mile radius, as well pockets of radiation and radioactive material created by nuclear reactors present on starships or planets. EL72901 has a very thin atmosphere consisting of varying gases provided by starships, planets, and structures. Gases. It has a very thin atmosphere consisting of varying gases provided by stars, planets, and structures, containing breathable atmospheres including oxygen, hydrogen, radon, nitrogen, krypton, and argon, with trace amounts of every other gas. The atmosphere present within EL729 is toxic due to the number of different gases present and unsafe to breathe. History and discovery. EL72901 was discovered by accident when a Shroominati dispatch allegedly performed incorrect calculations when attempting to travel to the universe. But redacted. Period. Redacted for research. Period. The vessel was completely inundated with micrometers, having emerged near a planetary scale collision process. The vessel was able to correct the calculations and escape before it was destroyed. It was later found out the initial calculations was correct, with research still going on as to how the vessel was drawn to the universe. History. In early formation stages of the universe, an unlikely quantum interaction changed the entire course of history from then forward. As a result, no intelligent life was able to rise up anywhere in the universe by equivalent of Earth, CE 2000. At some point during its history, likely consisting of redacted, EL729-01 started to exponentially increase its total mass, with immeasurable levels of matter being introduced from other universes each day. Currently, 0.91% of the universe space is filled with solid matter. Due to containment and testing. Due to EL72901's nature, it's impossible to contain. A fortified self-sustaining station with crew of redacted is permanently located in EL72901, broadcasting in all known languages to escape the universe immediately. In the event of a vessel unable to return to its home universe, the station is provided an export to the vessel to surface safe return. Test EL72901-A. Conditions. Vessel was given coordinates to the universe. Redacted. Result. Vessel arrived in universe. Redacted without incident. Addendum. Experiment was to be repeated 1,000 times. On jump 859, the vessel arrived in EL72901 immediately. Sustain a large impact before returning. Test EL72901-B. Conditions. Vessel was given coordinates that are hypothesized to lead to EL72901 and was ordered to bring back samples for analysis. Result. Vessel returned with samples of rock and scrap metal, which was traced back to the universes redacted, and redacted. Test EL72901-C. A large-scale task force was sent to EL72901 to attempt to salvage a supposed Shroominati structure. Results. Lost contact with task for 2 days into salvage operation. Further investigation revealed both recovery vessel and structure were both destroyed by a meteor swarm. No further salvages were attempted.
NO-637-01. Your Mom University. Item number is 637 and item class is Nova. Containment. Your Mom University is a location set within the city of Redacted, Oregon. It cannot be moved nor destroyed and must be kept vacated at all times. No exploration or testing of your mom university is to be allowed with the oversight of Charlie level researcher or above. No personnel may be allowed within the premise of your mom university unless told by Charlie level researcher. All guard personnel must stay within a designated parameter around the location, avoiding any possibility of accidentally entering your mom university's anomalous field. Any physical contact with your mom university or its spawn is forbidden. Any personnel who communicate with either must be detained immediately. The keys to enter your mom university are to be kept with a leading site supervisor when testing and active. When not active, the keys must be kept in a secure vault guarded by 2 personnel at all times. The keys may be stored with other non-anomalous objects separated with individual lockers. Any anomalous effects that occur near your mom university's parameter are to be recorded instantly and brought up to the attention of the leading site supervisor. See Dr. Rose for further information. Description. Your mom university is an abandoned multi-story university built in blank. It is connected with 2 separate wings which consist of the dormitory and laboratory sector. The building itself has noticeable signs of age, worn through the many decades it survived. The walls of the laboratory sector are covered in fine moss and fine growth, which seem resilient to any form of cut or burning. The building's welcoming billboard once read, "Welcome to blank university," but has since been graffitied to "Welcome to your mom university." It is unknown how long ago the vandalized edit came to be, but it is theorized to occur sometime in the modern generations after a careful analysis of the paint structure. The first venues into your mom university have led the Foundation to discover a form of spatial displacement within the building. Rooms that normally cannot exist somehow appear through mysterious doors, or with items suddenly appearing and disappearing when in or out of sight. The only consistent factors of the building's internal structure are the dean's office, 4 of the many classrooms, and the library. All other rooms are subject to change with the anomalous presence to the doors replacing old rooms. The rooms that are subject to change follow a set of rules observed by the first venturing squad into your mom university. Those rules are: cannot be outside what would be expected of learning environment and cannot pose immediate danger to those who enter without provoking. Certain irritations of the doors have posed a form of danger, but only if those who enter attempt to aggravate the room or do not act with care. The unchanging rooms, the dean's office, the library, and the 4 classrooms are kept in perfect condition at all times, even if they were previously damaged on an expedition. ETF-06, also known as a Snowjacks, reported having accidentally knocked over a bust in the corridor, but upon their second expedition, the bust returned to its original spot without any sign of damage. It is unknown why this instance or effect occurs, as it does not apply to the morphing hallways and doors once one leaves the main centerpiece of the building. Signs of graffiti, markings, damage, and items will remain left or even appear with new expeditions into the building. It is reported that most of the graffiti remarks crude "your mom" jokes. ETF-06 have met your mom university during their expeditions, which seem to be students of your mom university. They range from being 18 to 30 years of age with no bias to gender or race. Any attempt to communicate with your mom university will result in the conversation ending in crude "your mom" jokes by your mom university, even if talk appears to simple greetings or questions. They will not strive to leave your mom university, remaining in the room they found or aimlessly wandering the hallways. If an external force were to try to remove your mom university... Oh wait. Which is NO2? Whatever, okay. From your mom university, the students will become violent and use any chance they have to flee from their captors. If they cannot flee, they will commit suicide in any manner. There has been a reported total of 18 instances of your mom university-02 with 3 of the 18 being killed during expeditions. Yermom University-02 have no anomalous properties otherwise. Those who enter Yermom University have a possibility to lose their path while wandering the hallways. If such an instance occurs, it is recommended to leave the individual behind, as the hallway's infinite attempts to morph will create an unknown variable of time needed to find them once more. Thus, it is recommended for members who enter Yermom University for expeditions to leave a trial with rope or chalk to prevent being trapped within the university. Note 637-A. Any expeditions into Yermom University must be cleared by Dr. Rose and must consist of an ETF of at least 3 or more members. Disposable explorers may be sent in solo. Note 637-B. As of Incident Report 637-04, interactions with Yermom University-02 are to be ignored if possible. I still don't know what O2 is. Whatever. Note 637-C. As of Incident Report 637-09. Oh, okay. Thank you, Agent. Okay. Note 637-C. As of Incident Report 637-09, Dr. Bluebell is to be reported missing along with a member of ETF-08-3. Dr. Rose is to take over the project as lead supervisor. Dr. Bluebell's recording, which had been recovered by ETF-06, is restricted to Charlie-level researchers only. Incident Report 637-01. Initial reports of disappearance of local teenagers and young adults, as brought forward to the Foundation, led to Yermom University's discovery. As the threat of Yermom University has been unknown at the time, ETF-08-3, or Golden Panthers, were sent to investigate thoroughly and with caution. At the time, senior researcher Dr. Bluebell was appointed site lead supervisor with Dr. Rose as the assistant lead supervisor. NO-637-01's perimeter was secured with guard personnel under the premise that the building has a gas leak. Under false paperwork to conceive it by any bystanders with further questioning, the first expedition of Yermom University was listed below. ETF-08-3. Golden Panthers have been given individual cameras to capture the interior of the building. Sounds of cameras clicking, shuffling of feet, and low whispers. The expedition squad's cameras capture the entrance of Yermom University, pointing their flashlights at the door and the windows. This is Agent Walker of ETF-08-3 reporting to Mission Control. We are going to enter the building now, approaching with caution. The expedition squad entered Yermom University, stepping in the central entrance room. The cameras begin to cut out, decreasing drastically with video quality. Dr. Bluebell recommends the team to switch over to pure microphone operation, and for them to describe what they are seeing instead. Agent Walker once more, Mission Control. It seems that we're in some sort of central entrance room. There's a double stairwell heading up to the second floor in front of us, 2 hallways, one on each side of us, and a hallway in front of us. The front hallway has a sign saying library, while the side hallways have report nothing else. Agent Walker, this is Dr. Bluebell. Please investigate the library. ETF-08-3. Approach the library cautiously. Agent Dowling is the first to touch the double door, which is made of fine wood. Attempting to open the door results in failure as the door was locked despite no keyhole being present. ETF-08-3 was then instructed to investigate the hall. That the first initial 50 meters of space between the entrance and the hallway are all normal expectations of one would find inside the building. However, past those 50 meters, ETF-08-3 reports a large amount of vandalization. What the fuck? What is it, Walker? Perry, look at this. Agent Walker supposedly points at something for Agent Stone. Hey, your mom joke? Agent Perry approaches the graffiti. Yeah. ETF-08-3 report that among the walls Not only were signs of aging visible 50 meters out, but also signs of graffiti. They approach the first open classroom door, which is labeled Anatomy. The squad of 6 enter cautiously, pointing their flashlights across the room. At first, it was reported for the room to appear as normal. God, what is that smell? Agent Stone complained loudly. He tumbled his face mask, facing his physician. It's like a rotting fish. It smells like shit, like your mom. Agent Fisher chuckled. Agent Stone gave him a disapproving glare. Sorry, you got the idea off the wall. A few seconds pass. Boys, this isn't a model. Agent Walker backed up. What? Agent Stone approached Agent Walker, shining his light to the model. A few more seconds pass. Oh fuck. Mission Control. We report that the model within the anatomy classroom is actually a human corpse, covered in resin. There is likely to be leaks somewhere causing the intense odor, but no signs of decomposition are showing on the corpse. Agent Walker reported, backing up to the door. The door to the room closes, then suddenly reopens moments later. ETF-08-3 perform hand signals, unsure if someone or something had found them. Agent Ridge looks out the door carefully, explaining what had occurred. What the? Agent Ridge motioned his other expedition members to take a look. According to ETF-08-3, the hallway had changed. No longer did it lead directly to the lobby. Their original path was cut short with the introduction of a wall, blocking their path block, with the path forward now different than before. Agent Walker motioned for the squad to move out, leaving the carcass within the anatomy's classroom, thinking it was best to move forward. A cut in audio feed occurs, leaving about 5 minutes of blank space. Dr. Bluebill repeatedly tries to communicate with ETF-08-3, but with no avail. When the audio reconnects, Agent Walker can be heard talking. Mission Control, I repeat, Mission Control, can you copy? I copy. Dr. Bluebill responded. What happened, Walker? We were in an infinite series of hallways. Every left we took turned into right. Every path became a split. We kept seeing your mom jokes everywhere. Shitty ones at. We are currently holed up inside a literature classroom. All the books read your mom over and over. Interesting. Attempt to come back to the entrance. It seems the building has more to it than we know of. Roger that, sir. One more thing, sir. Agent Stone split off during the investigation. We haven't seen him since the anatomy classroom. Fuck. ETF-08-3 attempt to return to the lobby. It takes them a full 24 hours to find their way back to the lobby after deciding to go in one central direction. Agent Stone has not been found, and it is concluded to have gone missing within the building. Expedition over. An incident report 637-04. It's long. It has been a month since incident report 637-01, with 2 previous attempts to enter the facility with ETF-08-3. No further information can be found without risking the lives of ETF-08-3. Thus, Dr. Bluebell has been given permission by Alpha Control to use golf-level personnel. GLP-15336, also known as Tom Schapp, was given for the mission. He was equipped with the camera, flashlight, chalk, baton, and microphone. Schapp was previously serving 21 years in federal jail for drug smuggling and trafficking of illegal substances. His sentence was turned into a life with a possibility of parole after murdering a fellow inmate. Schapp entered the building at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning on blank after being given permission by Dr. Bluebell. He was also instructed to draw a line from the hallway he enters so the path is marked. Fucking hell, this place gives me bad vibes, Schapp muttered. He was told to watch his language. He responded with a fuck off. Schapp proceeded in the opposite hallway that ETF-08-3 took during incident report 637-01, marking his path with chalk against the floor. He frequently complains about the mundane task, but he advised to continue doing so. 12 minutes into the expedition, Shap reports a shadowy figure further to the hallway. He cannot describe exactly what it is, but it's enough to alert him. He's advised to investigate further. Shap initially refuses, but proceeds the plan after being reminded of his contract. He follows the shadowy figure into an open classroom called Mathematics 101. Doc, this guy's just a regular guy. Shap discloses the mission control. He's maybe 20, wearing some 70s nerd shit. Ain't fashion on this day, but to each of their own. Shap is directed to engage in a conversation with the man. Sounds of Shap clearing his throat. Hey, fella, how's it going? Name's Tom. What you doing up in this joint? Kinda spooky place, isn't it? The individual described it as being wearing 70s university attires. Spooky like your mom. The fuck you saying about my mother? I ought to pound your head in right now. Shap retorted aggressively. Pounded like I pounded your mom last night. This guy's on some drugs, Mission Control. Yeah, I'm on something. On your mom. Got him. That's it. I'm beating your ass. Shap dropped the baton and approached the man. Like I beat your mom's ass last night. Hey yo, got him. The man laughed loudly. As he noticed Shap approach the man with the baton, he fled into the hallways. Get back, you bastard! Shap yelled and he began to chase the man. A series of shuffling and panting could be heard over the microphone. Shap continues to run for 2 minutes before halting, catching his breath. He relays to have lost where the man went. He is told to continue exploring the hallways for another 15 minutes. Further exploration to the finite halls provide no other useful information outside of crude "your mom" jokes inscribed into the walls of classrooms. One classroom is reported to have crude pictures of the chalk amounting to "your mom" punchlines. Shap is then told to return using the chalk when he attempts. He stops midway through, realizing he didn't mark his path when chasing the man from before. He's advised to continue on which path he feels is most familiar, which he proceeds to do so. Another 15 minutes pass. Shap details to Mission Control that his current path results in a dead-end doorway, which the door was slightly ajar. He is ordered to examine the door and the room beyond it. Shap approaches the door cautiously, creaking it open as he holds his flashlight steady. The doorway leads to a storage closet which contains a key rack and a shelf. Some keys, one saying it's to the library. There's some books here, too. One called Botany and You by James Roxon. Weird. Shap mumbled, continuing to scan the room. Hey, Doc, your last name is Bluebell, right? Correct. Why is this important? Dr. Blue responds. There's a book here with your name on it. The Vast Sea by blank Bluebell. What? Dr. Bluebell exclaimed with surprise. I never published that book. It's still in my home as a manuscript. Oh, damn, you wrote a lot. Shap humped as he flipped through the pages. This fiction? I might actually want to read it. Sounds of footsteps approach Shap. He turns in noise, putting the book down. Oi, back up, buddy. I don't want any more your mom jokes. Shap yelled out. Moments of silence. Huh? More moments of silence. What the? Shap screams fill the audio. The yells are more to that of someone fighting than one in danger. Mission Control attempts to ask Shap what's occurring, but he does not respond. Get your hands off me. Stop. I will bust your knees. Moments of silence. Something drops to the ground. Footsteps could be heard, and shuffling of the microphone. Your mom! Shap suddenly speaks, his tone much more dumbfounded than before. Audio cuts off. End of Incident Report 637-04. Shap is declared missing in action. It has been Incident Report 637-09. It's been exactly 1 month since the incident report 637-04. Expeditions into Yermong University had been continued to be performed by the GLPs. ETL-06, Snowjacks had taken over. The ETL-08-3 had been assigned to a new task. Dr. Bluebell has made the focus for the expedition performers to somehow find their way back to Shap's disappearance or attempt to enter the library. All attempts have resulted in failure, with 2 of the GLPs vanishing just as Shap did. Dr. Rose has made multiple notes of Dr. Bluebell's discovered insomnia and obsessive tendencies to revolve his days around Yermong University. At exactly 1 a.m., October 23rd, no year, Dr. Bluebell approached Yermong University. He entered Yermong University alone, taking only a microphone, a flashlight, and a baton with him. Security would be advised at 1:34 a.m. that Dr. Bluebell had entered Yermong University. God, it smells like old parchment. Dr. Bluebell spoke into the microphone as it connected, taking steps into the lobby. Seizing NO-637 by myself, especially as site lead supervisor, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. My book, the book I stowed away and never published, how did it appear here? How? I need to find out. Dr. Bluebell reported his movements into the microphone, knowing that this expedition could be the last time one may ever see him. If this is such a case, his final actions should be used for research of this mysterious building. So, I'm exploring the Dean's office. I'm hoping it had been open during the many attempts of exploring this place. If not, I remember how to bust a lock open. Used to do it for the blank locks around my university. For some spare cash from the administration. Dr. Bluebell stood outside the Dean's office, fiddling with the door. After giving it a hefty push with an audible groan, the door swung open. Oh shit, that was easy. Dr. Bluebell looked around the office, detailing into the microphone that this is a very high-quality room. The shelves were lined with books at the highest rating level possible. The chairs made of the finest velvet, and all decorations were expensive. He rumbled through the desk, finding a spare key to the library. Jackpot, this is what I needed. It's a key for the library. It's got a keychain of a bat on it. Kinda weird, but whatever. Still, I wonder why the door to the office was open? Dr. Bluebell returned to the library, using the key to open the doors. Alright, I will do my best to describe what's inside. Dr. Bluebell opened the door, creaking it slowly open. The audio quality begins to cut out. The sounds of strong winds fill the audio before slowly turning into a random mixture of mechanical noises. Oh my god. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Dr. Bluebell's words repeated over and over, and the audio bugged out. Dr. Bluebell's screams filled the recording, shifting in pitch constantly as it lowered and heightened several times over the course of the building. Oh my mom. Once the screams were over, all was silent. Footsteps approached the microphone, then the shuffling of someone picked it up. This is the Dean. Sorry about that. I would have thought that you would handle the education program better than the rest. Further examinations required. I would ask for permission, but you all wouldn't mind, right? A male voice spoke. It was hard to determine his age or ethnicity with the audio stuttering. Like the permission of doing your mom. Got him, said a second voice, new to the recording. I must cut this meeting short. It seems all my students are unruly. Not all can pass in so little time after all. The Dean somehow turns off the microphone, ending the recording. Gabrielle Bluebell is reported missing as of this incident. No personal objects of his were recovered by Recovery Squad ETF-06. When they approached the library door, it was locked as before. The Dean's office was also locked as before. End of incident report 637-09. Attention! Clearance level Charlie needed to further read the rest of the report. If there's an issue, call number blank. Logging in. Welcome back, Agent blank. Dr. Rose's hypothesis. Audio recording November 16th of blank. Where do I even start? This is Dr. Joan Rose, senior researcher and newly appointed head researcher of your mom university and its subsidiaries. You may know me for other tasks, but that isn't the topic today. As of Dr. Bluebell's disappearance, you may know him as Gabrielle Bluebell. I've been theorizing exactly what happened in your mom university. It's actually become a minor bug in my ear. I can't stop thinking about it. Zan keeps telling me to sleep it off, but I really can't. I decided to put my thoughts into recording in hopes that it can put my mind to ease for now. It will help me forget what happened with Gabe. I believe your mom university is a bastion of the world's information, from the past to the future. All and any information available is contained within this very building. It's why we saw Gabe's novel in the building when he himself has never published it. Normally, I would have thought this theory to be insane, but Incident Report 637-09, Gabe's final tape, reaffirms it. The library is where all the world's information is stored, and those who witness it have had their minds imploded upon. Chapstone and Bluebell all witnessed the truth of the world in some manner, but their minds couldn't comprehend it. The your mom jokes aren't there for the crudeness. It is merely the only way we can express themselves after being their minds zapped. NO-63702. They're all that. People that witness too much, now nothing but a husk of themselves, wondering the infinite walls of the prison. I still don't know why or who built this, but the mysterious dean likely holds the information. He's the only one unaffected by the your mom jokes. I'm unsure if he's part of your mom university or just a spawn of it, or he's something more. Either or, further testing is required. End of audio. Dr. Bluebell's recording. Audio recording, October 3rd, blank. I swear. Sorry, I thought this started earlier. Dr. Bluebell clears his throat. Good afternoon, or morning. I'm not sure how to start this formally. This is Dr. Gabrielle Bluebell, senior researcher and head science supervisor of NO-637. So, if one had maybe been reading the reports as of Incident Report 637-04, it was discovered that my novel, The Vast Sea King, was found within NO-637. Issue is, it was not published. So how did it end up in NO-637? I talked to Joanne, Dr. Rose, a fair bit about it. While he has other ideas, I believe that the true properties of NO-637 is foresight. It portrays the future within the library or a dean's office. In the future, I published my book and ended up in NO-637. I can be wrong, and I hope I am, because this is some fucked reality of it is. The world's future held a university filled with her mom jokes? Almost reads like a bad bedtime story. But if it's true, then there have been much more to it. The your mom jokes could also be some form of code, or a language that we can't comprehend because thus it's boiled down to crude jokes. I need to think this more, I need to think this over more. I keep thinking about NO-637, it's almost luring me in. I feel like it whispers to me, talks to me about seeing what's inside. That's maddening. Or is it? End of recording.
And so we have reached the end of all submissions.